Hi, I'm Shaka Hislop, and you're here at Extra Time TV.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Extra Time TV. This is Andre Soklal, and unfortunately the other Andre isn't with us today. He'll return, and we have other guests as well. We'll probably bring on Kenwin Jones and many other people. But the first thing we're going to talk about, Trinidad Tobago and Costa Rica took on each other in a World Cup qualifier, and unfortunately we got a narrow loss, 2-1, with goals from Yeland Mitchell in the 23rd minute, Warren Madrigal in the 38th minute, and Levi Garcia with a brilliant goal in the 58th minute. But the talking point, there's a lot of talking points, but everybody's talking about the red card to Alvin Jones in the 76th minute, which I think came at the time we were finally getting a bit of a foothold in the game and we were looking dangerous on the counter. But before we get into that, here is a quick clip from Dwight Yorke after the game in the post-match press conference, courtesy the TTFA. Take a quick look.
They worked themselves to the ground. We having to come into a very difficult situation here in Costa Rica. We know what Costa Rica has to offer, and we felt that we needed to work extremely hard. And even though, first half didn't go particularly great for us at times, we switched off when Costa Rica were on top of us at the time and conceded a goal. When I felt that in the moments of the game, we were on top of Costa Rica. So, bit of a blow. But I like the response, particularly at second half, and I think a lot of credit has gone out to my players. We show another side of the team that probably wasn't there earlier on, but I'm delighted. Even though we have lost the game, sure we would have liked the result to be a bit better, but we are delighted, of course, in advancing to the next rounds of the World Cup qualifiers. Well, first to begin with, it's a great honor and a privilege to been given the job to be the manager of the national team. So it's a great honor, and the gratitude has gone out everywhere since I've come back. The people and the fans of Trinidad and Tobago really embrace the fact that I was given the opportunity to lead this team in the World Cup campaign and, of course, the Gold Cup that we had. I think the night was about particular qualifying for the knockout stage of the World Cup, and we know that we were coming into a very difficult circumstances against a very good Costa Rican team. Over the years, the history between Trinidad and Tobago, the games are very tight, and so we expect it to be a difficult game. But our main aim, of course, we would have liked to have won the game, but our main aim at the end of the day was to make sure that we got to the next round of the World Cup. So as much as it's not the result we would have hoped for, we are delighted with advancing to the World Cup campaign. Yeah, I think that we needed to change a little bit of, from a tactical point of view, first half. It wasn't quite as smooth in the transition. We got really good, first 20 minutes of the game, we felt we got our foothold into the game. But then, of course, once Costa Rica scored, we seem to have lost a little bit of confidence and a little bit of guidance at the time. Sorry, I know you need to translate, right? Sorry.
Los primeros 20 minutos tal vez les costó un poco, ya después empezaron a guiarse un poco, a completar la táctica y poco a poco así fueron creciendo.
But certainly second half we needed to make some tactical change, which we've been able to do, and then we really tried to push Costa Rica back to towards their goal. And of course, once we did that, we got the goal from that.
All right, folks, and we're back, and you got the gist of what Dwight Yorke was saying. It was disappointing, and we would have liked to have done better, but it just shows you the ambitions of Dwight Yorke. But like I said, let's get back to the talking points, and I will go through some of the details as well. Trinidad and Tobago has and not just us, but other countries. There is and you could put on your conspiracy hats, play your conspiracy music, X-Files, whatever it is, conspiracy music you like. But I've been watching football all over the planet. I've been looking at especially our football in our region, since I was a kid, not just as a fan, but also having been worked with the women's national team as well and being around the men's national team and following games and covering games. I can't help but always point out that whenever we do play Central American teams, there's always some dubious decision that goes against us. Always. There are many cases. There's one that was very tragic that denied us a World Cup. In fact, I'm not going to say that one. You all can research, because the reason I say that, when you comment in the comment section below, you automatically qualify for a chance to win a copy of EAFC. So you could drop that comment section below. I know the veterans of the game will know this. Anybody who could clarify that below, you can say it. I'm not going to say it. I know what it was, but it's one of many. In fact, you could put the one that you remember most. The one I remember most was during the 2018 qualifying campaign. I think Dennis Lawrence was the coach at the time. We played Mexico. And Jovan Jones scored a goal, and it was the most horrible call. He was so far onside that it was ridiculous that they made memes. They actually had a line, and maybe some of you could find it online, where they drew an arrow just to show you how onside Jovan Jones was, and it affected the result of the game. It was a close game, and it's not the first time it has happened. And I've always maintained, I try to be as impartial as possible, and I can be when I need to be a fan of my country, but I could also be, put that aside and be very fair. I really think somebody needs to speak up about the fact that when we are playing Central American teams, we should have neutral refs. There is a conflict of interest. I am sure there are refs that are, have the integrity to do the right thing. But, there is a question mark there that I definitely raise a question to. Why not use referees from the US or English-speaking places? You don't have to use the Caribbean if you don't want to, but maybe the US or Canada. CONCACAF is huge. Why not? It's just something that, I'm going to put out there, and you all can let me know your thoughts. As for Alvin Jones' red card, this is a player that has a good temperament. He has no history of this sort of thing. And this is an example I'm talking about. There is no way that should have been 2 yellows. Even the foul was at worst, a yellow card. To me, at least. And, to see those 2 yellow cards, maybe I don't know, maybe something was said, I don't know. But from what I saw in the game, it seemed excessively harsh, especially when it looked like we were on the verge of getting counterattacks after that Levi Garcia goal. It totally knocked the stuffing out of the team a little bit. They had to reassess. And, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And, these games teach the team resilience. I'm sure Dwight Yorke, with his experience, will have a conversation with the players afterwards, as would any coach. And, because it's very easy in the past, we have shown to have some mental collapses. So that's another part of our game, not just tactics and physicality and so on. We spoke about that in the last video, which, by the way, did really well. And I'd like to say a special thank you to all the viewers. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment. It really helps the channel, and we love your support, and we do appreciate the comments, and we do appreciate your feedback. So send them as well. Back to the game. That call is ridiculous, and I think there is no way we could not talk about that, because it definitely affected, the impact of the game. But before we move ahead, and, we talk about the defensive aspects of the game, I'm going to pull up some stats really quickly here. And I hope I do a good job, because I'm trying to juggle this software here. So as we can see here, these stats are provided to us by SofaScore. So we're going to pull up the, the possession stats of the game. So let's do that, folks. Let's see if I've got the touch. And I do. So as you can see here, Costa Rica had 66% possession. As expected, they're a possession-based team. And 34% for us, 19 shots, 10, as expected, we were favored to have more shots, 10 on target. We had 14, which wasn't bad, and we had some pretty good chances in the opening half as well, which I'll get to, where I highlighted Keylor Navas has been a key player. 3 big chances for them. The duels were pretty much the same, and, overall 91% passes. They got a SofaScore rating of 7.11. We got a SofaScore rating of 6.79. So it just shows you that the game was pretty even. It wasn't like some unbalanced game as well. It was pretty close. And like I said, I think if we did not get that red card, we did have a chance to possibly get a draw in that game. That's just my opinion. But, speaking about key saves, let's pull up, Keylor Navas' stats. This has been brought to you by SofaScore. So let's pull that up really quickly. And, because he has been key for them. So let's see here. Transitioning to the Keylor Navas stats. And here we go. So as you can see, obviously he played in 90 minutes. He conceded that 1 goal, which I'm sure he got really angry about. But he had 3 key saves. Those saves, you could see at the beginning of the first half, Trinidad did have some good opportunities there. And he saved it. That's what he does. He did it before in our last qualifier. He got a SofaScore rating of 7.0. And this is why this is a former Real Madrid keeper. He's world class. And those are the saves that really make the difference. I mean, that's why, they eventually got the result in the end. If let's say any other keeper would have been maybe a closer game. But, he's a top quality keeper. That's what you expect from him. Even though he conceded that great goal from Levi Garcia. He shows again why he's very important for Costa Rica and why he won those titles with Real Madrid. And even though he went to PSG, at one point, this guy is still valuable to the team. And that's why they still keep him around. Speaking about other goalkeepers, Marvin Phillip had a great game. So let's pull up that really quickly. SofaScore was very brilliant to give us this information. So as you can see here, let's pull that up. Marvin Phillip had a SofaScore rating of 8.5, which is very high, and he had a great game, great saves. I said great a million times. I hate using the same word twice. He conceded the 2 goals, and we'll get to that just now. He made 9 saves, some brilliant saves. He has been an experienced keeper. He's him as well as Jan Michael Williams are 2 of my favorites. I mean, I like them all. Adrian Fonset and all these guys. But, Marvin is top and he's experienced. And he showed in this game. There was a couple high claims. That's what I love about SofaScore. So he grabbed some out of the air, which is 2 key passes. 1, interesting. That could have been a counter-attack, more than likely. And his save percentage was 82%. So his SofaScore rating was very, very high, which is impressive for someone like him. And of course, we have to talk about the goal scorer, which is Levi Garcia. So let's pull that up really quickly. Levi Garcia has been, I think, a star player among others. But Levi Garcia is one of the players that's been doing it in Europe. Like I said, folks, this data has been brought to you by SofaScore and Opta. They have a partnership with us, and it's they give us this data, which is very brilliant. We love to use data here. So he played 81 minutes. I was a bit surprised when he came off, and I think there was a little bit of a, and maybe we'll probably one of these days catch up with Dwight Yorke and have a little bit of an interview with him and ask him what took place. I guess he didn't want to come off. I think James was going to come on, but anyway, he scored that 1 goal, key passes 2, total shots 7, shots on target 2. He won 11 duels out of 22, successful dribbles 2 out of 3. Not surprised. And his SofaScore rating was 7.9. So that is quite brilliant for Levi Garcia. And, I have to be honest with you. I think Trinidad and Tobago has a really amazing star player on our team here. Levi Garcia is really quite special. And he's also a humble player. I followed him since his debut. And I'm glad to see him there. He's at Spartak Moscow right now and doing an amazing job. Let's get into the tactics or even the key moments of the game, folks. The 2 goals. So the first goal obviously came in the 23rd minute. What I would like to say is that, Dwight Yorke, to his credit, and coaches before him have identified that we have to work on our defensive areas. Angus tried his approach, and now Dwight Yorke is trying to work on it. And what I will say is we are fortunate, and I did write something about this on www.extvmedia.com. You can check that out. That's our website. We have very unique write-ups. It's not the traditional news and we just report who scored, but your opinions and our thoughts on things. And you can comment and let us know your thoughts, on things. If you agree, if you disagree, that's what we do here. Where I spoke specifically about the fixtures, and while some people were worried about it, I actually think the Unity Cup combined with these 2 World Cup qualifiers, now with the Gold Cup coming up, this is very good for Dwight Yorke to get some continuity. I think any coach would be happy to get this amount of time with their team, because at international football, you do not get to train with the players every day. They go to their clubs and you have to communicate your ideas in those short windows. And, I guess via, Zoom or whatever technology they use. Each coach is different to communicate your ideas to players and then try to get them to, understand and execute in a very short period of time. Just to give you context, an international window is usually just about a week, and you play 2 games. They, a little more than a week, and then they come down, they see each other for a couple days in a training session, they have a couple, video sessions, and then you play. And, that's very difficult, especially if you're a new coach. However, with these 3 games, the Unity Cup games, which was 2 games, a top quality game against Jamaica, a top quality game against Ghana. Yes, the results were not in our favor, but now with the continuity, he can now implement and work with those players in a way he probably would not have been able to. So, it depends on what you're looking at. If we go into the Gold Cup and, the results don't go our way, the objective is to learn as much as possible and implement his ideas. And he has very specific ideas. He wants the team to be proactive. So I think that's an ideal scenario. And we do have a tough group in the Gold Cup, which is coming up in a couple days. So that's definitely an asset. But, going back to the defensive aspect of the game, which is why I brought up all that. With all those games, he could fix it. The goal was scored with, a deep cross that got between Alvin Jones and Sheldon Bato, I think. And you could see that split-second indecision when the ball went that way. Though that's what happens at the highest levels. When you're starting to go up and play quality teams, it's just a half a second, but it can cost you a goal. And that's where the communication takes place. And I'll further, elaborate on this. The second goal by Warren Madrigal. where he came down the right side and he cut in Alvin Jones. Tried to come across, and they did a good job at pulling our defense across, kind of changing up their shape a little bit. And Alvin Jones tried to kind of intercept the cross, the cut back across. And I guess he was assuming the defenders would cover the late runs from Costa Rica, and they got that goal, the second goal, which turned out to be the crucial goal in the end. And to me, what that shows is Costa Rica, credit to them, they did very well pulling players out of position, but it also shows, a little bit of communication, which it just shows you could slip up twice, which is pretty good, but still, that shows you at this level, you slip up once or twice, and that's it, you pay for it. Where I'm sure Dwight Yorke and they looked at this and they will work on it, and playing together regularly, they'll get to understand each other, learn how to understand the mental aspect of the game, and deal with things like the red card and this, and, I'm sure all coaches work on this, but I think the frequency of the games really helps. I think the previous coaches didn't have such frequency. They had a couple friendlies in between, and these are top quality teams. I've said it multiple times. So just to move along, I won't be as long as the other shows because we'll have a reaction. We don't know who we're going to play in the next round. So for those of you who have been asking, I'm going to try my best to break down the qualification process because it is different. There are more teams in the World Cup this time around. It's a larger tournament. And, as a result, we have more spaces. So usually, it's just, 4 teams going to the World Cup. But with Mexico, Canada, and USA hosting, it created a whole new, dynamic for us. So I'm going to quote exactly from FIFA. I'm not going to use my words. So obviously, we were in Group B, and we made it out because we were tied with 7 points with Grenada. And, goal difference separated us. So it's a good thing we scored those goals. So we were in Group B. So there were groups A, B, C, D, E, and F. And I'm going to read from here. So straight from the FIFA site, in case you want to question me. So each team plays every other team in their group once, playing a total of 4 matches, 2 home and 2 away. Following the completion of the second round, the group winners and the runners-up, 12 teams in total will progress to the final round. So that's where we are now. So 12 teams from those groups have made it to the final round. So the final round starts, September, October, November 2025. And so I'm going to read this straight from the site. The 12 remaining teams will be divided into 3 groups of 4 teams. Each team will play every other team in their group at home and away, playing a total of 6 matches, 3 at home and 3 away. So that's a lot of matches. Following the completion of the final round, the 3 group winners will qualify directly for the FIFA World Cup 2026, joining hosts Canada, Mexico, and USA. Additionally, the best 2 runners-up will represent CONCACAF in a FIFA playoff tournament. In total, the CONCACAF region could have up to 8 teams at the FIFA World Cup for the first time. Not the FIFA Club World Cup. That's also going to start soon. We'll talk about that in another show. Some say it's a money grab, whatever, but I'm still going to take a look. It's not going to cost me anything. Actually, that's not true. I may have to pay. I'm not going to do that, but we'll see. Things are not good for that. So as you can see, we do have a good chance. I do not know. The draw is coming up while we are recording this. It's like 1 a.m. in the morning, so I don't know. The draw is going to take place, later on today. So we'll have a reaction to who we're going to play. A lot of people have been asking me what I think about who would be the ideal teams, and I think at this point, the best teams, they rise to the top, and we're going to have to face whoever we have to face, and I'm pretty sure, we have a really one of the best fighting chances we ever had of making it to a World Cup. Even if we make the runners-up spot, there's a good chance. But I think, knowing Dwight Yorke's approach, I think he wants to aim for the top spot, and why not? We should be aiming for the top spot. A lot of people reached out to me directly, and I really appreciate the fan support. Just a random note, I'm going to steal from the Diary of a CEO guy. We looked at the analytics and we saw the amazing feedback in all our videos. And a lot of the non-subscribers would love for you to help us by subscribing, liking, and commenting. It really helps the channel, and it really helps us continue making this type of content. And, thank you to SofaScore and Opta for providing these wonderful stats for us. So continue, and we really want to increase that subscriber count to really help us, help the channel grow. And our international viewers, we've been seeing the analytics all over the planet. This is really flattering, and I really appreciate that. We've been doing this for a long time. So thank you very much, and continue the support. And what can I say? Keep subscribing. So let's continue. So, I'm pretty sure Dwight Yorke has his, his mindset on the players he would like to play in the next round. He mentioned there's a couple players that he's going to be bringing in. We'll see who they are. You can let us know what you think about the new additions, which players really stood out for you. I think Marvin Phillip and Levi Garcia were really great in the last game. Kevin Molino as well. I think his experience has come in, really handy. Let me know what you think about the red card. In terms of qualifying for the World Cup, as soon as we get the draw, we'll do a reaction with Andrea and myself. And we'll do some previews of the Gold Cup games which are coming up in a couple days. Saudi Arabia and USA. Listen, it's a crazy group. It's a tough group. It's a really tough group. I really think that Trinidad and Tobago will get a trial by fire. I'm going to see if I can pull up the other groups here while we're talking. Multitasking at its best. But, folks, let me know what you think. So in the Gold Cup, let's see. Let's pull that up here really quickly. So we have in our group, in Group D, USA, wow, Haiti, wow, and Saudi Arabia. Those are three really tough teams. Some people are saying it's a group of death. I wanted to make sure because I remember getting the groups and for some reason I couldn't remember it. So those are some tough games. And we will preview those matches and talk about them, of course, and you continue to follow us. But let us know what you think. Do you think Trinidad is going to make it to the World Cup? What are your concerns? What are your thoughts about that last game? I got a lot of responses, people talking about the defense, asking me questions. What do I think? I could only give my suggestions, but, Dwight will know what he's doing. And, hopefully we could get a chance in between all the games to have a sit down with Dwight Yorke and we can have some questions. We can even have the fans send some questions to us so that we can ask him and just get his thoughts on his feel. There is a feel-good factor about Trinidad and Tobago football. And, I know some people, Trinidadians are accused of being bandwagonists, but, stick around, stick with the team. Don't just bail on the team if things don't go well. I think there's a plan, there's a continuity plan, and, we have to stick with it and really support the team on what they do. We should always do that. So, I'm going to end this by saying, let me know what you think in the comment section below about the game, key players. What do you think about our chances? Who do you think should be the ideal opponents in the draw? We don't know the draw yet. I'll probably try to do a response. And, of course, be sure to follow us on Instagram at ExtraTimeTVTT. Follow us on Twitter at ExtraTimeTVTT and head over to EXTVmedia.com to show your support because it really does help the channel. So, folks, with that being said, in a couple hours' time, we'll know who we're going to face, and we'll definitely discuss that and also preview the Gold Cup games that are coming up. So we have a lot of games, folks. We have a lot of games to talk about, and we also talk about a lot of international football as well, and club football. So, with that being said, folks, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned. We'll be definitely keeping you up to speed on everything that's going on with Trinidad and Tobago football and everything else.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching Extra Time TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe.